Welcome to Bloody Manor, the residence you may not escape from. You might want to be careful what door you're opening, because it might just be your last. Enjoy the conversation. Enjoy the story. But if you don't make it out, don't blame me. Anyway, I'll see you real soon.
And seeing you real soon means right about now. Hello and welcome to Bloody Manor. My name is Douglas Castle, and this is a show in which we break down and talk about horror films and horror franchises. And this week's episode is all about Stephen King's It. I'm super excited. But before I get into the panelist, because this is the inaugural episode, I'm just explaining that we have a list of cast members that will rotate in, and they're our crew. They're our faculty. They don't ever leave the manor. So whenever I need them, I just pull them in. Let me go ahead and introduce my panelists for tonight. And tonight, we have this illustrious group of gentlemen joining us on the show for the inaugural episode. And I'm going to go down the panelists one at a time, and we're going to talk about, first, what we liked about it, our general knowledge of it, who our favorite character is, and what our favorite glamour is. I'm going to go over to Matt Graham first. Matt, give us a little bit of your history with it. Give us a little bit of your favorite character, and what is your favorite glamour?
My my knowledge of it is when I was very young. My birthday is in October, so Halloween is a big deal in my life, and horror movies was. And my mother showed it to me when I was very young. The miniseries. When I got into high school, I read the books. It Chapter 1 is probably one of my favorite movies of that year. Being a fat kid, it should be no question who my favorite character is. And my favorite glamour. Ooh. That's a good question because that's hard to say. I really, really, really like when Pennywise is himself. I mean, everybody at one time might have been terrified of clowns, might not be, but just seeing him as what's supposed to be fun and happy and menacing, it's got clown itself.
Absolutely. And we're going to go over to Alan next. Alan Shepard, I'm so happy that you're here, good sir. Please give us a little bit of your history with it. Who's your favorite character, and what is your favorite glamour?
All right, hello everyone. I'm excited to be here. My history is my mother had every Stephen King book there was, and I was kind of perusing through all of them. And I noticed from the cover of it that drain and that boat, and thought this looks pretty interesting. And just with a title like that, very simple, you know what you're going to get with a Stephen King. So I read it, and and leads right into my favorite glamour and my favorite character. My favorite character is actually Beth. And my favorite glamour is the clown, and based on the description of Pennywise, it just was kind of perfect. Taking this and just kind of echo what Matt said, taking this thing that's supposed to be fun and bring you joy, and how much terror it can really cause, and just scare the pants off you. So that's probably my favorite.
Absolutely. And we're going to go over to Alec Miller. Alec, same question to you, good sir. What's your connection to it? What's your knowledge of it? Who's your favorite character, and what's your favorite glamour?
Well, my connection to it is I still remember back when Blockbuster was a thing, walking around the horror section and seeing that box. And, I saw it when I was maybe a little older, in about middle school, but, I didn't really love it. But it wasn't really until the brand new movie, the 2017 version, It Chapter 1 came out, that I just absolutely fell in love with this movie. I fell in love with the characters and the story, and just made me dive deeper into what this lore is, and how deep and just gigantic this world became. And I fell in love with it like crazy. My girlfriend hates how much I love this movie and franchise.
Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite character?
Oh,
and what's your favorite glamour?
All right, my favorite character is actually Richie. You know, the fast talking, trash talking kind of guy, because that's kind of who I relate to. Because that's who I was when I was in school. You know, when I was a kid, we around that same age, we were cursing and talking crap to each other. You know, so I really relate to him. And my favorite glamour, it's too easy to go to clown, so you know I'm not gonna go there. But I will say my favorite glamour is from the 2017 version in Chapter 1, when Ben is actually in the library and he sees the headless kid walking, and that just absolutely like gave me the chills like crazy. And then when he's running and he turns around after it says "Hey fat boy," and he turns around, that image is haunting.
Absolutely, and we're gonna go over to Hunter. Hunter, same questions. You know, what is your knowledge of it? How does it connect you? How does it affect you? What's your favorite character, and what is your favorite glamour?
Well, I'm probably the only one here who hasn't read the books. But I first saw the miniseries when I was way too young to be watching that miniseries, and it scared the fuck out of me. Made me so afraid of clowns for some odd reason. Going back and watching it now, which we'll talk about later, it is kind of goofy, but I was so terrified of clowns. But then the 2017 movie came out. I absolutely loved it. It was one of my favorite movies of that year. I'm currently on a Stephen King audiobook binge. I'm finishing up The Shining right now. Cannot wait to finish that one. Then I'm probably going to get to it. My favorite character is Ben, obviously. Growing up, kind of being bullied for my weight and kind of being that shy, quiet kid who likes a girl but doesn't know how to talk to her. That was me completely. And my favorite glamour is actually in the 2017 It movie, and it's when Pennywise takes over as Georgie. In the
Cellar.
the cellar scene, because it's so powerful. And at one point you don't know if it's really him or if it's Pennywise, and just that big emotional pull really tugs at my string with Georgie going like, "I want to go home," and then kind of playing that psychological game with the kids is what really intrigued me about this movie. And it's all about heart at the end of the day, and that's what I loved about it.
Absolutely, and I'm bringing the entire. All right, sorry about that. We are. So I guess it's my turn to talk about my connection with the book, with the miniseries, with the 2017 adaptation. I'll go ahead and quickly show this. I have a plan for a full half sleeve or a full sleeve. I haven't decided yet. But going back to it, 1990. I was 3 years old, and I sat on the couch, and I was with a babysitter, and I watched this terrifying movie. This movie terrified me all the way till I was a teenager and couldn't tell why. Maybe because he ate children. I don't know. When I was 11 years old, my mom bought me the book. Ever since then, I have read the book once per year, or I've listened to the audiobook. We're going favorite characters. I'm going to cheat. The entire Loser Cub as one is a character because they are there to support each other, and I cheated a little bit. Sorry, guys. I told you to pick one character, but they're all one character. But my favorite glamour of all time is in the book. It is the scene where the first time you see the werewolf and where you get Richie's voice, and he's like, "Boyo, let him go." And he gets the Irish accent, and he's so surprised because that's the first time you hear him do this really insanely good accent. And he just got done talking to Mr. Nell, who was the police officer. You've seen him in the miniseries, but he plays a little bit more of a bigger part in the damn scene where it's not actually all of them together. It's only, so on and so forth. I'll talk about it when we get to the book. Sorry. But that's basically my little connection. I love the book. I've loved the miniseries, even when people have hated it. I love the second part just as much as I love the first part because I think it has a lot of heart. A lot of people give it crap because of the spider, but we'll get to that in a little bit. And the first thing we're going to bring up is the book. We're going to bring up the book and how massive this book is. This book is, in my opinion, one of Stephen King's greatest work, next to maybe The Stand and the Dark Tower series. It's one of the books that he considers his magnum opus, and I am 110% in agreement with that. He wrote it for his children. He loves his children, but he wanted to scare the shit out of his children. And he scared the shit out of many other people. And I really enjoyed it. But let me go over to Matt. Matt, have you read the book? Do you understand the books? What's maybe some of your favorite scenes from the book? If you have seen it, if you haven't, it's fine. Maybe ask some questions to anybody who has seen it. That's perfectly fine too. So let's go over to Matt.
I have read the book. I've read the book multiple times. And you're right. A lot of people say that even if you compare it to the miniseries, that the second half of the book, it's hard. They split up for 27 years. We all know that the Losers Club breaks up after they get out of the sewer and they think that they've defeated Pennywise. And then they come back because it happens over again. And it's just when they come back and reconnect, I've had a circle of friends that were like that. Obviously, we didn't have a killer clown chasing us, or in your favorite part of werewolf, or
your adventures would be a little bit more exciting there. Just saying, we probably
or a
all be
giant
rich
spider.
and famous.
Or a giant spider. Come on, but the book, to me, yes, it is a horror book. It is, and it's massive. It's not one of these couple 100-page books. It's massive. It's detailed. And the fact when he is eating children, just the description of it, just even thinking about it sends chills.
The Patrick
But
Hawks that are death.
if you look past
that death alone
oh,
can terrify dreams.
just the thought
real
of it
quick.
gives me chills.
Real quick, Matt, before we jump back into the book, there was something that you said that kind of brought it back up. We really haven't introduced these characters yet, and for anybody that hasn't seen 2017's It, at least, let's go over who the mainstay characters are. You have Bill Denbrough, who is the leader. You have Ben Hanscom, who is his right-hand man or his brains. You have Richie Tozer's Beat Richie. I'm sad that they didn't give Bev the opportunity to actually say that much more to him, because it was such an embedded scene when she says Beat Richie in the book. It's something that the Losers Club kind of tokens him with if he's being too obnoxious. Then we have Eddie Kasbrak, who is the navigator, who gets them into the lair, who gets them almost out of there. We're not going to discuss that. Then you have Mike Hanlon, who is the historian or the lighthouse. You have Bev Marsh, who is the heart of the entire group. Without her, they would not be existent. You have Stan the man Uris. I'm really sad what happens to him, but it's kind of understandable because he is the conscience of the whole group. And without him, they kind of risk a little bit more than what they would have if they had him there. So the other mainstay characters that you're going to have is Tom Rogan. We'll talk about him, or I know I will talk about him, because Beverly and his ultimate throwdown is one of my favorite scenes to read in the book. It's the best women empowerment scene after she goes through years of fucking abuse, and she's just like, you come near me again, I'll kill you. You hear me? I'll kill you. Annette O'Toole playing that part out almost perfectly. Of course, we couldn't get that really violentness that comes from the book, because from the book, when he goes to slam the belt at her and she tries to grab it for the first time, he gets pissed. He's like, you trying to snatch that away from me? And then she grabs it actually and she starts whipping him. I'm like, yeah, Bev, go Bev. So you have Tom Rogan, who is a mainstay character because he does something really vicious in the book, and I think he's going to do something really vicious in the in chapter 2, which I'm really hoping for. Then you have Audra, Denver, who is a spitting image of Bev. They say it in the book. The casting is actually pretty spot on. She sort of looks like Jessica Chastain. A little few differences, but she sort of looks like Jessica Chastain. You have Henry Bowers, Belch Huggins, Victor Chris, Hochstetter, which his death is so brutal in the book. I can't wait to fully get into it. But those are the mainstay characters besides Pennywise himself and Maturin. Anybody that doesn't know who Maturin is, he's this big ass turtle that the world sits upon. So flat earthers would love this book. I'm just saying, flat earthers, you'd love this book because it's literally a giant turtle that we're sitting on flat with a dome around us. So going back to Matt, sorry about that, Matt. I just want to introduce everybody to the cast of characters and what their major roles are to play. Basically, Henry and Tom Rogan are its counterparts during the adulthood. So they kind of are the physical force when the losers don't fully believe in it. So going back to Matt, let's go back to Matt. Matt, again.
Oh, you're good.
Some of your favorite books,
You're good.
parts of the books. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, you've already said one of them, that Irish accent. It just, and you know he's done it before outside the book. You know he's done it multiple times. But it's almost a, what the hell kind of moment, because you could just know that he's one of these people that would pull that. Another scene, unfortunately, breaks my heart in the book is when they're in the lair in the first part and they encounter Georgie. That breaks my heart. It's
a rough scene.
I was a single child growing up with a single mother, so I didn't really have that connection. But just the way it's written, you could just hear his heart breaking. Because he spent the last year trying to find his brother. Yeah. And he knows. Yeah. I mean, you know he's dead. I mean, he's convinced
in the miniseries, you know he's dead. In the 2007 adaptation, which I like how they did it. We'll get into it more, but I wish that they would have just left his body there. Simply because it becomes a different movie. It's not based on Bill wanting revenge. I don't want to go too much into it, but Bill's revenge kind of just drives them along, which I think will make chapter 2 better because now he knows his brother's dead.
Right. So, and the fact Bill's stutter, like you got to bring that up if we're going to talk about the book, is his stutter. It's even written when he stutters, how he's trying to get it out. And then that's his speech. He just starts going because he knows his brother's dead, but he's going to get revenge. And he just starts going.
Yeah, whenever he makes fun of Henry Bowers, or he's not being himself, kind of, or he's being something greater than himself, he hardly ever stutters. And it just shows you the massive connective tissues to this universe because each of them have a shine. Bill has the most shine of the group, portraying to The Shining, but they each have something that claims the shine. So
and like Bev, just everybody starts to get down, and she knows how to, for lack of better terms, build everybody back up.
We're skipping that portion of the book entirely. Don't worry, fans. We're not going to actually talk about it. Or newcomers, we're not actually going to talk about it.
I was trying to skate around
it. There was no way to skate around that. There's no way to skate around that scene at all. That's why they avoided the movie. Because it's something that Stephen King himself has said. He was on a lot of drugs when he wrote this. It gave us this beautiful book because outside of that
cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug. Outside of that scene and outside of the Patrick Hochstetter and Henry Bowers scene, it's a relatively beautiful book about childhood, adolescence, and
coming of age.
Coming of age. He's written a lot of coming of age stuff.
Well,
Going
like
over to
I was
Alan.
saying earlier,
Let's shoot over to Alan. Alan, tell us a few things about the book that you most remember, that you're most excited for, maybe coming to chapter 2. Or I don't really want to give theories yet, but yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. No, I think the book, because it is dense. I mean, when you look at it, when I was a kid and I was looking at all the books, I'm like, damn, this thing is huge. What the hell could this possibly be about? But you really find out it's so well written in that you understand the psychology of every single character so well. They are 100% identified, fleshed out, every aspect about these characters, which I love. And they all get a comeuppance, if you would. Even the more tragic things that happened, a couple of them, they get everyone gets a hero moment. Everyone gets an explanation as to why they have these quirks or traits that they have. It's just really, really well written. So much so that even with the way that it's written, you can hear their voices. Every single character, the dialogue that's in there has a very distinct characteristic to it. So I think the psychology of all of them and the well-written characters are probably my favorite aspect of it. And Bev being my favorite character because she goes through the most, I think, and she has the greatest comeuppance. I mean, that scene with her father when she's just lighting into it, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I hope that, well, I don't want any theories yet, but I hope they can justify and bring that, visually the same way it's written.
So good. So
Yeah.
good. Let's go over to Alec. Alec, same question that I posed to everybody else. Connections with the book, maybe favorite scenes in the book, anything that really sticks out to you that you want to talk about the book.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't come into the book at an early age, but as soon as the movie came out, I went and got the book. Unfortunately, right around that same time, I had a child, and so I'm a brand new child. I have a brand new child, so I haven't really had a lot of time to read it.
1,100 pages.
Yeah.
It might be a little difficult.
Yeah, exactly.
I would recommend getting the audiobook. The audiobook's fantastic. It's 40 hours. It's 40 hours. That's how long this damn book is. It's 40 hours.
That's a week at work minus 20 hours. So I work 60-hour week, so I think I can handle it.
There you go. See, look, you could be like, yeah, I'll toss it on and be like listening, and then you'll get as disturbed as most people are when you get to certain scenes.
However, I have read about a third of the way there, and I mean, so far, my favorite scene, and it's probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie too, is the scene with Georgie. I think that scene is so well written. It plays out really well. The dialogue between Pennywise and Georgie, you really get like a real sense of who this being is and what he's capable of, and it's just, I love it to pieces.
That scene, when I first saw it in the movie and then when I first read it in the book, terrified me of sewer grates. Terrified me.
Oh yeah.
Just absolutely terrified me, because I was like, that's a no. Later.
Yeah.
No, but that scene is incredibly well written. The entire book is well written. Hunter, I know that you said that you didn't read it, so we're going to kind of maybe skip over you unless you have some questions for people that have read it. Do you have any questions for people that you've read it?
Yeah, I actually have like 3 questions, so I'm going to just go on one at a time. Well, the first one I'm going to start with is, does the 2017 movie follow the book more closely than the miniseries, do you think?
So,
given part 1 at least.
With the 2007 miniseries, 2007 adaptation, it matches the tones. The tones are there. The tones of who the kids are. I know a lot of people are like, but Ben's not a historian. First of all, Ben was the library kid. He would read this, of course. Granted, it's a little bit outside the spectrum, and they didn't give Mike much to do. But if we're being honest, during the first part of the book, he's barely in it. When they first start getting together, it's June, if I'm not mistaken. So, and then July 3rd, my birthday, July 3rd, is when they have the epic rock war. And that epic rock war is to save Mike's life, and where Mike decides to join the crew and say, yeah, I'm in. But I would say the tones, I've said it a lot. The tones are very much mirror image. Like I said, there's things that I wish that they would have stuck with. Like Georgie's death, Georgie's death is a main focal point. We don't get the photo album scene. That scene is played out three times, because Bill talks about how it happened the first time.
Yeah.
Him winking at him. The second time is the scene that you see in the miniseries where the blood comes down.
Blood comes out.
The third time is the most messed up because Richie, just like the 2017 version, he doesn't see anything until later. But Richie asked Bill, as I'm about to stutter, asked Stuttering Bill to basically see the picture. He wants to see it. So they're flipping through the book, and the picture's gone.
Oh shit!
You can see the picture, studio markers, and a little bit of blood. What happens is they close there's another picture of a town. And it's Derry, and what they see is they see themselves and two people that are walking by the river. The picture comes to life, so you not only get one picture that comes to life in the photo album like the miniseries, but you get a second one. And what that happens is they're seeing Pennywise come up from off the bridge. This is one of my favorite scenes. Sorry guys, I'm going total in depth. They see it go, the hand come up and the balloons. And then Bill goes in to try to grab it, and his fingertips start going into the picture, and they get cut. And it's like to show you how real this is, that he's not messing around. He wants to kill these kids, but he wants to have fun with them before he kills them because he wants them at their most potent. So what that means is sort of like how you salt a steak to get that really juiciness from a steak. What fear does to humans is it salts the meat. It makes it more sweet. It makes it more sweet for him, or her, because in the book you find out that she's pregnant. So yeah, it's actually a girl, guys. Blow your mind. Or it's asexual and it just reproduces itself, which could be a case. What we're gonna probably get, and I don't want to get over spoilers. You don't get the smokehouse scene. Which I was really hoping for because that scene is legendary in the book. It's Reggie, it's Richie and Mike. Mike has to be there because he has to basically be the historian to make sure that everybody remembers it. Richie's there because he's the eyes. All right. So, anybody else have some ideas with the book per Hunter's question? No,
you kind of brought up.
You covered it pretty good. You covered it pretty well.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I kind of should be.
But I have an idea. But I have an idea. When you brought up the third one where he reaches into the balloons, I have to wonder if that's going to be a flashback. I know this is jumping up a little bit, but you see it in the trailer. Because I bet if anybody knows, you're going to know where I'm going with this. Because you see it very faintly in the trailer for Chapter 2, where Pennywise is actually floating on a bunch of balloons. So
that's not that scene. That's actually Richie's scene with Paul Bunyan.
You're right. So, never mind. But
it's a great
but maybe
scene.
They can tie that in.
I actually hope
but
they
maybe
don't,
what they can do is tie that in.
Fucking fantastic by itself. The Paul Bunyan scene when he remembers that he's seen it before that photo album is fantastic because he tries to blame it on a dream,
which might be how they tie it. Which might be how they tie it back to what he was bringing up.
So, Hunter, you said you had 2 more questions, right?
Yeah, I have 2 more. Well, I'll do this one. How does it feel into the Stephen King universe? Like, how does it tie into the universe as a whole?
All right, so before I touch any of this, does anybody else want to touch this? Because I know the entire explanation. Just throwing it out there. But I'll let Alan, because Alan said that he's read a lot of Stephen King. So if Alan wants to step up first before I say anything.
It's that's because I've read a lot of them a long time ago. So Doug probably knows better of the whole tie-in.
Right, so I'm going to give you a brief. I'm going to try to make this as brief as possible, even though this could be like a fucking 30-hour video itself. All right, so you have a series called Dark Tower, and Dark Tower is the center of the universe. There is the Red King. The Red King is basically like God. He rules over everything. Red King has created basically Maturin and Maturin's kind of created it from a stomach ache. So Maturin is the turtle that the world sits upon. Basically, you have a central location where there's multiple different worlds, multiple different dimensions, and then you have this god-like creature named Maturin, which actually helps Bill out in what's called the Ritual of Chud. I want to get into that when we get into theories, because I'm excited because that theory is actually coming true because of certain things that I see. Yeah! And it's super fucking weird that the whole thing's
it's
so
weird.
fucking weird.
It's crazy.
It's weird. It's crazy. But it's 2 hours and 49 minutes. Give me all of it. And then another connection that's made into the world is through The Shining. So you'll notice that Bill Denborough, in the book, he has a lot of things that he thinks about. It's kind of displayed in the miniseries. It's kind of displayed in chapter 1 when he tells Georgie, be careful. What happens is throughout the book, Bill kind of knows things before they're going to happen. He gets a gut feeling about it. So he's more in touch with the shine than the others, but they all have shines. Like I said, Bill's the leader. Ben's the brains. Ben is incredibly smart. He knew how to build the dam without reading a single book. Richie is the eyes, because most of Pennywise's forms, when they're all together in one group, are Richie's fears. Besides maybe the bird. The bird might be one of them that's not really there. Which I'm excited for because we might get that. That's a theory later. Yeah, I'll discuss that. Then you have Eddie. You guys ever seen Dreamcatcher where the guy does this?
Yeah.
To find things? Eddie knows how to find his way home. Eddie knows which way he's going no matter what, never gets lost. Mike is the historian. He knows all the facts. He's there to be the lighthouse for everybody to come out. Bev is the heart. She connects them all. We're not going to talk about how she connects them all, but she connects them all. And then Stan is the conscience. And the reason that it attacks him first is because it wants them to go in without a conscience. It wants them to not double guess themselves. It wants to kill them. Without Stan there, they don't stop. And it's actually Pennywise's downfall in the whole book. It's a lot. Listen, it's a 33-year-old book, 35-year-old book, something like that. It's 30. Yeah, it's 34. 85 it came out. So it's a 34-year-old book. If you haven't read it, it's your own fault. Go listen to the audiobook. It's 40 hours. Best 40 hours of your life.
I couldn't help it. Sorry.
I couldn't help last question before we jump into the miniseries. Last question.
Actually, you answered my third question, which was explain the giant fucking turtle. You did that in your explanation.
Is basically God. And flat earthers would love the turtle.
Yeah, the turtle is God.
Flat earthers, if you like the theory of the flat earth, we're on the back of a turtle and there's a dome over us. It explains your theories. Stephen King was a flat earther before anything. All right, guys, we're going to go into the thing that most people have seen. We're going to go into the thing that most people have seen, which is the miniseries. This is something that I'm most excited to talk about because I still to this day watch the miniseries once a year on my birthday. It's a tradition. I know it's weird. I'm a weird dude. I run a horror show, guys. I run a horror show. I got to be a little weird. But it is one of my favorite things. Let's start with Matt again. Matt, tell us a few moments of your favorite parts of the miniseries. We'll go to Alan, we'll go to Alec, we'll go to Hunter. Then we'll wrap it up and jump into chapter 1.
Okay, let's just. I'm gonna call probably the most obvious answer. Tim Curry himself.
Absolutely.
I know you're talking parts, but Tim Curry. Some people say the miniseries sucks. That the adult parts are a little overdrawn, what have you. It doesn't matter. Anytime Tim Curry's on scene or on the screen, it's magic.
Hot enough up there for your heads. Hot enough up there for your heads. Hold on while I make some room. One balloon, not enough. Try a bunch.
Try a
Oh my
bunch.
god, I love that library scene. I love that library scene. You see
Hope
all
you know,
the people just trying to
Just
keep.
gonna.
You see all the people just trying to keep straight faces while balloons are getting popped in their faces by Big Splatter.
Not
It's
flinch.
great. They can't flinch, and they all flinch. Watch them again.
And I love this scene during the rock fight, where Tim Curry's just sitting there. He's just like,
Mhm.
That's
Just watching.
2017. 2017. You're
well,
we're getting to that one. We
No.
will get to
Look at
that
that.
one. The rock fight.
oh, you're right. You're
Pennywise
right.
isn't there
Sorry,
at all.
I rewatched them. I rewatched them both today. So no, I'm not excited for it. Let's just leave it
Not
at
at
that.
all. Not at all.
Not at all. And I go back to the same answer I gave earlier. It's the connection with the kids. Like you could just see them becoming, because this has got to be the scariest moments of their goddamn lives. They're being attacked by, something that should be fun, something that should make you happy, not scaring the living shit out of you. And it's their coming of age. Just they come together. They're these outcasts. Yes, the Losers Club were the guys, and then Bev showed up, but they all kind of just go, you know what? Let's be friends, and let's do this. And the fact that in the book, and the miniseries, they know Georgie's dead. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
And it's a revenge for Bill. Bill knows Pennywise did it. Let's get him for my brother.
Well, something that's really great in the book that they didn't display enough in the miniseries or in the 2017 adaptation is how they all feel connected. Whenever one of them enters, it's like they're feeling home. Because there's a scene in the book, and I hate coming back to the book every time, but there's a scene in the book where a boy comes with Bill from the speech therapist, and Bev and Ben and Eddie are there, and they know that he's not a part of it. But Bill, when he walks up, knows that Bev is a part of what they are becoming. So it's a big Shine thing. It's like he's really big into The Shining, because The Shining was written, I think, 2 years before it, and he didn't want to overtly say, "Well, they all got the shine," but they all do. So going over to Alan, connections to the miniseries, maybe a couple favorite scenes.
My connection to miniseries, I saw it when it was a miniseries, when it was actually on television, and then rented it again on Blockbuster. Back to Alec over there, and I think Tim Curry, of course, is just iconic, really personified that if you had read the book. But I think the two scenes that do it better than the 2017 adaptation are the picture. The picture with Pennywise just coming through the road, climbing up to that light and having his hand through there. It was well shot. It was beautiful the way it transitioned from that sepia tone into color. Just beautifully filmed and really, really effective. And then the Bev bathroom scene is way more effective in the miniseries.
Yeah,
it's
I
just
100%
amazing.
agree with you. I
it's just amazing.
agree with you that the miniseries and the book did those scenes more justice.
Way more.
The 2017 adaptation really didn't actually put the one scene in the book, which I'm hoping maybe they do in the 2019 chapter 2.
We'll see. Yeah.
But no, I 110% agree with you. I think those two scenes alone are two of the best scenes in the miniseries.
Yeah.
Just because of how they're shot and how they were done. Another one is when Bev returns home and the balloon is just being drugged down the street.
Yes.
A little backstory to that. It's being drugged down the street with just a fishing line. They're literally holding down at the end of the street, going like this and pulling it and reeling it. I'm like, that's brilliant.
It's brilliant and effective. Effective.
John Ritter with his hand underneath where you can't see it, turns it and it says, "Don't look around.
Don't look around."
Turn back now. Going over
He's
to
actually holding it.
Alec, Give
Yo.
us some points on the miniseries. Tell us what you loved about it. What your what some of your favorite scenes were. What's your connection with it?
Now I don't really have like the greatest memory of the miniseries. I haven't seen it in so long, but I will say, and as y'all said before, you can't touch on Tim Curry's performance enough. Like it's absolutely genius. It's incredible. There's no one else that could do that role. I don't believe the way that he did it. But the fact that they were able to portray so much of from what I learned to love in the newest movie, and from what y'all sound like y'all love about the book, is that it's done with even very little violence that's shown on screen. Like it's in crazy amount. Like it's crazy what they can do, how they can scare you, and you really don't see anybody die on screen in terms of the children. You don't see Georgie die. You don't see really anybody die. So it's crazy that he can get almost the same effect with so little violence that he portrays on screen. Whereas
there's literally 2 characters that you see die in the entire movie,
which is crazy.
3. There's 3 characters. Sorry, you see Henry Bowers, you see Eddie, and you see. You don't see Bill die. I mean, Georgie die on screen. You see Stan die on screen.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Is Stan? I remember you seeing him in I believe the bathtub, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. With his wrist slit.
Yeah, it's pretty gruesome. But like that's like one of the most gruesome things, really, is that, and to get the same effect that you get in the book in the newest movie, if you're going back and watching it with very little violence, whereas we all know that the newest movie did not shy away from the violence. So you can love both aspects of that, I think.
Absolutely. Going over to Hunter miniseries, have you seen it? What did you think of it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I saw this when I was younger, and again, it made me fucking terrified of clowns. Thank you, miniseries. Going back and rewatching it though, Tim Curry's performance, and we keep bringing it up, but it cannot be, said enough, how entertaining he was as Pennywise. And it's weird. You're not supposed to, side with Pennywise, but, Tim Curry is so energetic that you're just like, I don't know. The kids are good, but Tim Curry, though.
He makes fun of somebody with a stutter, and you laugh. A Billy boy. Choose anyone that you want except the one on the end. I
love this. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
The opening scene with him and Georgie was really good because, again, you don't see the violence, but you get that first interaction with Tim Curry as Pennywise, where he's like, Georgie. He's like, Georgie, Pennywise, Georgie. We're not, strangers anymore. So here, want a balloon?
That's chapter 1. Sorry, I'm super nitpicky about this.
Is it?
Yeah, because he's basically, my dad says I'm not supposed to talk to your dad,
and he
to
goes,
strangers, and he's like, very wise, Georgie, very wise Georgie, indeed. Yeah. I'm Pennywise the dancing clown.
That's right.
Jersey. Now we know each other.
Correct.
One of the scariest fucking things in the earth. How'd you get down in the sewer? The wind blew me here. Oh God, I hate Tim Curry and love him at the same time because that man played that role like it was nothing, and it was great.
Yeah, and plus I love the kids in the movie when they actually focused on the kids part. I thought those were the actors they got was really good. Like Seth Green as Richie. I believe, was it Richie or
Richie? Yeah,
Richie was really cool, really nerdy and kind of quick-witted. But my only problem is when the adults come into play, they seem kind of bland compared to their kids' counterpart to me. But overall, I mean, it's still a very entertaining miniseries.
So I get this a lot, and this is where we get defensive against the trolls. No, and I'm not calling you a troll at all, Hunter. So here's the thing.
I don't know if I believe that.
Those characters, to me, it develops a real connection, and you see those connections form super quick when it's not likely for adults to form those connections real quick. The way that Bev's affected as soon as she gets into the Jade Orient is ridiculously quick. Such a amazing, handsome group of men, and she faints because of all the memories flashing back. The scene where you get Ben talking about how he basically beat out the coach that told him he was worthless and a piece of shit. You get Mike Hanlon, who went around, we're not going to say the word, but dealing with Henry Bowers, calling him some really absurd stuff and dealing with it. And you being frightened for that character. The entire time you're afraid he's going to die before they get a chance to go and stop this. Richie showing you what kind of character Richie is when they're in the library, and he literally says the most corniest joke in the world. He's like, "It's great to be back here in Derry, breathing that Derry air."
Derry air.
And then Eddie, and it shows you Eddie's connection with him because he pulls up the silence thing, and he's like, "Never." So it shows you their character, and it shows you the growth. The scene a lot of people are like really upset with is the bicycle scene where him and Mike are plowing around. But I honestly love that because it just brings them back to childhood, and that's what you do back in the 50s in childhood. So I can't defend the horrible, horrible practical and CGI effects of the spider. I think that second part has a lot of heart. One thing that I was missing out of the miniseries later when I read it was Patrick Hockstetter, because Patrick Hockstetter is a complete fucking psycho. He's worse than Henry Bowers. He's one of the most evil characters that Stephen King's ever written. He basically kills his 2-year-old or a 1.5-year-old brother while he's coming home from school. His mother's sleeping because she's tired, and he smothers his brother. He then starts to kill pets, putting them in a fridge, and just holding them there. It's a completely ridiculous character, which I'm hoping maybe they'll go more into in chapter 2, but we'll get to that. For me, this miniseries was the start of it all. I watched this movie when I was 3 years old. Don't ask me how I remember it. I don't know. Maybe it was a clown telling me that it's okay to come down. You'll float too. Noticing that I got the tattoo on the same arm that Georgie got his arm ripped off of. Just saying. Just saying. But in all honesty, there's scenes that are just classics. The rock fight, where basically this is one that I can't forgive them a little bit, because they pan to each character, and it waits until they pan to them that they say the line. So when you start all the way back over, you got this nothing but dead silence while you're waiting for the camera to get back to them instead of just multi-shooting it, which was great. Tim Curry he has a million lines in that movie that are quotable. Had enough up there for you, Eds, as I said earlier, is one of my favorites. Don't be afraid to come back with your friends anytime. The laugh. What is one blue not enough for you? How about a bunch? You got Prince Albert in a can? You better let him out. Is your refrigerator running? You better go catch it. And there's literally jokes that are just like 90 years old. I think one of the most horrifying scenes is the scene where basically when Bev finally gets out of the house when she's an adult, and Pennywise is just laughing at her.
Yep.
And the truck goes by, almost hits her, and then she turns around and it's nothing but an abandoned building. It's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. And with that being said, we're going to bring up the 2017 Chapter 1. This was an incredible movie. It got some parts of the book absolutely perfect. How terrifying the leopard look was ridiculous. Ed's dealness with his inability to deal with sickness. His mother basically being this overprotective person. Richie being the trash mouth that he was supposed to be always.
Ted Wolfhard is amazing in that movie, by the way.
this movie I was waiting for a long time. I was really hoping for Cary Fukunaga to take it over and make this really a really cool thing until I heard what he was trying to do and make Stan a goldfish. I was like, nah, I'm not okay with that. So Andy Muschietti and his sister absolutely killed this, especially with casting. We'll get into chapter 2 in a little bit, but chapter 1 was an incredible fucking phenomenon. People just fell in love with this character. People started reading the book because of this movie. It's just something that was incredible. I said that already. Bill Skarsgård, while different, still holds up almost as good as Tim Curry. He gives me some of the scenes that I'm more terrified that Tim Curry I know wouldn't have done. He adds a sinister look. That whole lazy eye thing that he can do on his own. When he's talking to Georgie and the drool is just coming down.
Drool starts coming out, yeah.
Because it's not, everybody's like, it's rain. I'm like, no, motherfucker,
that's
drool.
That's drool.
He's salivating. He's salivating because Georgie's just getting a little scared.
Yep.
All right, going over to Matt. Tell us a few things that you loved about chapter 1. Tell us a few things you loved about it. Maybe a few scenes that you loved about it. Going over to Matt.
Well, I guess you've said it before. You've said it before. The tone. Sorry, you've been breaking up. Sorry.
All good. My bad.
The tone killed. For chapter 1, just it brought the eerie, creepy, dark tone that the book did. And that's one thing that kind of the miniseries hit, but also missed at points. And that opening scene with Georgie, it is terrifying. Just imagine being 6 and going out and playing in the rain, and then all of a sudden, your toy disappears, and go there. And it still, to this day, terrifies me when Bill Skarsgård, he's sitting in the sewer and his eyes open. And I saw it in the theater at midnight, opening night, and that was just terrifying. Bill Skarsgård took what Tim Curry did, the comedic and the tone that he brought, and put his own spin on it. And that's one thing I was worried about, is that it is iconic that Tim Curry, you think of him, you think of 2 characters. You think of Pennywise and you think of Dr. Frankenfurter. And I was scared he was going to do his... Sorry, I love Rocky Horror. That's one thing about me. Rocky Horror is one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm not afraid to admit that. I was scared he was going to do an impression of him. But instead, and a lot of people really, whatever. That library scene where he's just walking around and you hear the noise and then the balloon and nobody turns around.
Listen,
yes, it's a glamour.
That old lady in that scene was it for me. I was like, no. No, go back to your present, old lady. No, please don't be creepy. No, thank you.
But just that one balloon, having seen the miniseries, Pennywise is going to come and screw with him. Mm-hmm. But that balloon,
that egg boy scene,
and he goes down.
I agree with you. When he's chasing him, and he looks. And Ben looks back and he's like, "Hey boy," and bumps into the librarian. It's ridiculous because it scared me. I was like, "What the hell?" Like I genuinely, I didn't jump, but like in horror movies, like a lot of people complained about this movie that it wasn't scary enough. But I was like, this is a different kind of horror movie. This plays on psychological horror rather than just scare jumps and jump scares.
Jump scares all the time, yeah.
But so I agree with you 110%. These scenes were definitely more psychologically terrifying. Alan, what's some of your thoughts on chapter 1?
Yeah, the fact that it hits the tone, I mean, it's just atmosphere all through that movie, which is really beautiful. And it hits not only in that psychological kind of terror, but the camaraderie. It really builds. Some of my favorite scenes are when they're doing the swimming, where they're at the
Yeah.
quarry and they're swimming. I love those scenes because they're just, you can feel the camaraderie with all of them. They're really listening to each other's stories. And it's just a great, great moment. It's a perfect kind of capturing the feeling of the book in that way that the miniseries kind of didn't. And Skarsgård, of course, his Pennywise physically and his facial expressions are what did it for me. I love the voice, but the facial expressions and the physicality is really what I thought. Okay, this is different enough from Tim Curry's to make it unique and terrifying and inviting at the same time, which is really cool.
His contortion
Is beautiful.
is ridiculously good.
It is. It's great.
All right,
It's
so
great.
Alec, give us some of your favorite moments, some of your favorite scenes before we break down this movie.
All right, so this for 2017, this was my favorite movie of that year, and I wasn't really expecting to like. I was expecting to like it a lot. I wasn't expecting to fall in love with it the way that I did. But the reason I fell in love with it is because to me, it's not just a great horror movie. To me, it's a great coming of age movie. It's a great movie. That's when people say like, oh, it's a good horror movie. No, it's a great movie. I don't have to put a genre added onto it or anything. It's just, to me, it's just an all around great movie. The performances in this movie is fantastic. Bill Skarsgård, like we're gonna keep talking. We're not gonna not talk about him. Just the same as we kept talking about Tim Curry in the miniseries.
I told you, they're up on the same level with me. I love both of them equally for something completely different.
Yeah, it's because he doesn't look human in this movie. He absolutely looks like a creature. Looks like a monster. The Georgie scene, with him basically fading in and out of like consciousness, just because he's salivating and thinking about eating this little kid. It's terrifying. And just like one of my favorite scenes of the movie is it's a real quick scene. It's not even that important to the movie, but it's right before the Rock War, and they're shoving Mike's head into the meat, and he looks over and he waves at him with the
with his arm.
Have you guys seen?
That's amazing.
Seen the GIF? Have you guys seen the GIF with Forrest Gump?
Arm.
And Forrest is like, and it's like,
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Like, it's just, it's such a small little scene, and it's something that I bring up to people. People are like, I don't even remember that part. I'm like, dude, that was hilarious. It showed the kind of humor, that he had at the same time, but still morbid because it's a dead person's arm. So it was amazing. I absolutely adore this movie.
A lot of people didn't know this, but that was Eddie Corkin's arm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they allude to it in the behind the scenes stuff. Going over to Hunter. Hunter, give us some thoughts before we break this entire movie down and go into some chapter 2 theories.
All right, so going into this movie, I was very excited because I was like, it's it. I love the miniseries. I love the director, and I can't wait to see what he does with this source material. I came out loving this movie. This is one of the few movies that I gave 5 stars to out of 5 stars. Because to me, it's just perfect. There's the interaction between the Losers Club itself, all the kids felt like a group. It felt like family. It felt like a team. That's what I love about it. Beverly's storyline in this movie was amazing. I love how she finally fights back in that scene, and she's like, he says, "Are you still my little girl?" And she just goes, "No," and then fights back. I love that scene because I'm just like, yes, yep. I really root for her. Henry killing his father was a terrifying,
happens in the book.
What the fuck scene? Because he has a knife to his neck, and he just with Pennywise
happens in the book almost the same exact way.
Yeah.
There's a few differences, but he the only people he doesn't kill that he does kill in the movie is Belch and Victor. But I guess they didn't want to have to do the whole it chasing
Yeah.
after them and killing them too and showing his real form.
Yeah, but also one more part I like, and this is like a dumb part, but I love that New Kids on the Block comes
Yes,
up multiple
yes.
times as a
Yes.
running
It's just
joke,
a
like the
reference.
poster.
Poster.
Poster
Hey
on the
girl,
door.
don't leave.
Poster.
Hey
Great.
girl, don't
Yep.
leave.
Don't go,
all right,
girl.
so we're gonna go into chapter 2 theories, but before we go into that, I brought up the chapter 2 trailer. We're gonna
Ooh.
go ahead and watch this. This is the final trailer. As a group, we're gonna have a little fun here.
Let's do it.
All right. No monetary gain here.
It's fair use.
Yep.
I remember all of it.
This is one of the scenes that I'm most excited for.
Mm-hmm.
The Adrian Mellon scene is completely bonkers. It literally kicks off the I guess it would be 2017 events, or no, 2016 events.
16.
To the losers.
Jessica
I just love his
Chastain.
eyes glow right there.
Yeah,
What a cast, man!
the cast is perfect.
And I don't even
Perfect.
care that
If it ever comes
I
back,
don't even care that they deets because it would look different if they were adults.
I can't wait for the scene. I saw the 8 minutes. The 8 minutes when they re-released chapter 1. That scene is going to be ridiculous. Ridiculous.
James
This scene
McAvoy
too.
as Bill.
Give me this scene all day. It's not in the book, but give me it because I
Yeah.
think this is to replace the skateboard kid.
The
God,
skateboard, yeah.
this scene looks awesome.
And you can't go wrong with a.
That's what I was
Funhouse.
going to say too.
And he's like, please, because he doesn't want it to happen with George, like it happened with Georgie.
Yo,
You just see the pain and anguish in his eyes. Henry fucking Bowers all day. I love this line of dialogue. That's Adrian Mellon's death too. I can already say.
I love the balloons.
This is the crater, I think, where he crashes.
I've seen all of us die. It consumes us from the inside. Until we don't have
She's
choice.
such a creepy fucking character. I died. That's the blood scene when she's in the bathroom. Is the blood scene the most blood that's ever been used in
a scene,
In
a
a horror
horror
movie.
scene.
in a horror movie? Yeah.
Dude,
I love how it starts forming. I love how it starts forming.
I thought it was the most blood ever used.
It's most blood ever used in a scene.
see, I don't know about that because the remake of Evil Dead had literal raining blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they
Holy
literally
shit.
had Guinness World of Records do it, and it's the
Damn.
most blood that's ever been done. I'm gonna go last on this portion because I have a lot of theories, and I'm gonna probably give 4 or 5 of them so people can tell me how wrong I am, and it's okay. So we'll go to Matt first. First of all, what did you think of the final trailer? I've already watched it like 50 times, and then give us like 1 or 2 of your theories that might happen in chapter 2. What you're excited to see.
Well, let's put it like this. I know I've seen both of them at least 100 times a piece. This movie could have had no trailers, and I already have tickets for
Yeah,
chapter 2.
I'm that
I already
Fry
have
meme.
those, by
I'm
the
that
way.
Fry meme
Just
that
leaving
says,
it.
"Take my money."
Shut up and take my money.
I've literally already bought
Yes.
for 4 days in a row. I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm one of the biggest It fans you will ever meet.
So,
go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
but like I was saying at the end of the trailer, that scene where Jessica Chastain goes back to the apartment with the old woman who is supposedly Pennywise's daughter. That scene, I saw it for the first time in a theater, was terrifying. Like, I mean, I just, oh God, that movie, that is going to be terrifying. And I think what they're going to do, a theory I have, is that they're gonna play off the camaraderie that they had in It Chapter 1 with them as adults. I think they're gonna take it. They have to come back and realize, oh my God, this shit's happening again. But once they get there, especially seeing this cast, because I want to see James McAvoy bring the same charisma he had in Split.
Yes.
I mean, you'll see that
And bring that to
undoubtedly.
Bill.
Undoubtedly, you'll see that.
Well, but he's been in some shoddy movies from time to time. But there's one thing about
I
him,
will
even
not
if
have
it's a
you
bad
talk
movie.
ill of that man.
I'm sorry, but X-Men Apocalypse was pretty bad.
But he was
that
good
wasn't
in it.
his. He was good in it. He was, and I hope he brings that charisma that he had in Split, bringing even like the Beast, because you could see him transform and become. He is a great character actor. He's probably one of the best character actors of all time. It's an award-winning, an Oscar-winning actress. I have a theory though that they're going to take what people thought of the second half of the miniseries, that the adult section wasn't that good, and I think they're going to fix what people had issues with.
Absolutely. One of my theories will get into why they're going to fix that. Going over to Alan. Alan, what did you think of the trailer? What did you think? What's some series that you got?
Yeah, I like that trailer where they show the scene with her going back to the apartment. I love that. I love that whole scene, the way it's shot, the acting within that scene, the use of stillness where they kind of pause the old lady. I love that moment. It's pretty incredible. And I think Matt took the words right out of my mouth. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they up the stakes with the powerhouse cast when they're adults. Because I'm looking forward, of course, to McAvoy and Chastain, but Bill Hader. Bill Hader, man, he's got some chops. He's got some chops, and it's going to be interesting to see how they do that, and to see the motivations and the psychology that you didn't get from the miniseries. I think you're going to get full force in this new one.
Absolutely. And Alec actually has to get out here in a little minute, so let's go to him real quick before he has to dip out. Alec, tell us some theories. What do you think of the trailer?
This trailer is fantastic. Like, I didn't need any trailer for one, but that first trailer, like, if they would have just stopped with that trailer, I would have been perfectly fine. I felt like they just spoiled us by giving us that final trailer, and it's absolutely amazing. I think one thing that we haven't touched on is how fantastic that music is. Holy shit! Like
that score,
that little like, that's amazing. Like, I think anyone knows what that is automatically. But yeah, the thing I'm looking forward to the most is really seeing, because since I haven't read the book, and as y'all know, is really seeing Bill Skarsgård like become that like revenge seeking it, before he was just trying to eat, he just was hungry, it's not a big deal.
Now he's pissed off.
It's nature. Now it's personal, and I really want to see how Bill Skarsgård is able to like capture that and create that, because Tim Curry was still pretty fun and funny in there. This is gonna be like kind of like straight up business, I think. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
And I'd be remiss to say I need the goddamn turtle. Like, if I don't get the goddamn turtle in this movie, I am gonna be severely pissed off. Like,
well, he is dead when they're adults. We might get a flashback to him, but he is dead when they're adults.
That's fine. I just still need him because, and they hinted at him in the first one. So I need to see it scene with him again. Come on.
All right. So before we get to Hunter, Alec, go ahead. Tell people where they can find you, and then we'll bid you farewell until next time that you join us on the Bloody Manor staff.
Yeah. Sorry, I gotta head out a little earlier, guys. But y'all can find me on Twitter at AlecMiller0423. And make sure that you listen to my MMA/wrestling podcast that I do every Sunday night on the TuneIn Radio app. It's called. You just search KTXF. You can find it there, or even go to Apple Podcasts and type in, or SoundCloud and type in KTXF. My show's called Arm Bars and Suplexes. Me and my friend Jesus go crazy deep into MMA and wrestling. So there's a really big card coming up this weekend, so I cannot wait. So once again, I love this, Doug. I can't wait to come back for
Absolutely,
the next thing. So
you'll be more than welcome back. As I
also,
said earlier, all staff members are not allowed to actually leave. He's just going into a different room for a minute.
Also, I meant to say this during the movie when we were talking about the movie, but the day that this came out in 2017 is the day that me and my girl found out that we were pregnant. So I think that's why I hold it near and dear to my heart.
There you go.
So that was great. So thank you for having me.
Horror movie connecting people together through pregnancy. Gotta love it.
Yes. All right, guys. Thank you.
Alec, as always, it's a pleasure, man. Have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. You too.
And then we'll go over
Alec.
We'll go over to. Oh, there we go. We'll go over to Hunter real quick. Hunter, tell us some of your theories, what you thought of the trailer for Chapter 2.
I loved the final trailer. Set the tone immediately. You know, you're right into it. This is more serious than the first one. You know it's going to up the ante. And apparently, this is not really a theory, but I've been reading stuff online that says that the guy at the beginning of the trailer in the water, in the sewer, that's the gay character from the beginning of the book. So it's really cool that they're kind of bringing elements from the book into Chapter 2 now. Maybe that's a flashback scene.
What's really great is that it's called Chapter 2, and the chapter that character's introduced is Chapter 2.
Chapter 2.
Yep. It's great. It's incredible. All right, so I guess it's my turn. I love the trailer. I watched it multiple times. It's one of my favorite trailers to come out this year. This is my most anticipated movie, and that's with Endgame that came out this year and Star Wars that's coming out. Still, this was my most anticipated. This has been a movie I've been waiting for to be done for years. It's always been talked about. A couple theories that I have. We're getting the smokehouse scene. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting the smokehouse scene. Whether it's Mike by himself and figuring out how it came here, or if it's Richie and Mike, we're getting the Paul Bunyan scene. It's been shown in other trailers that I didn't show anybody because I don't want to ruin it to the internet. But oh well, guess I did. Sorry about that. Hashtag spoilers. The Paul Bunyan scene is one of my favorite scenes in the book. It's one of my favorite scenes that'll probably be ever played out because it's incredible. You'll notice in the one scene that's kind of like a cavern, that's I actually think where its home is, where it crash landed in Derry. Those are the only speculations that I'm going to give you right now. If you want to pick my brain, we'll talk about it later. But let's wrap this up. Overall, guys, this is the wrap up. This is where we clean the bedroom that we did the murders in. We're gonna go over.
Get in the crew.
We're gonna go over to Matt. Matt, the book, the miniseries, Chapter 1, Chapter 2. Overall, everything. What about this series do you love the most?
I love the fact that it takes something. Horror movies. I'm trying to think of how to say this. Horror movies take something that is scary and continues it scary. It completely turns that on its head. A clown is supposed to be your friend. They're supposed to make you laugh. They're supposed to make you happy, not try and eat you because you're scared.
I'd avoid reading stories about John Wayne Gacy.
Exactly.
Just saying.
But if you take the horror element out of it, it's a coming of age story of these losers who come together and become friends, lifelong friends, and they solve what's the problem. I said this off camera. I have a 6-foot hanging replica of Pennywise that I put up every Halloween. I bought it from Spirit almost 10 years ago. When it's not the same exact costume, But when it starts to rip, I fix it. I have painted his face multiple times because it fades. I live in Arizona. Today it was 120 degrees. So things change. Uh, it has made a major. It's turned me into the horror buff I am. Growing up, my mother and I would go see horror movies every year for my birthday. Uh, what can I say? This movie changed my life. It made me the horror fan I am today.
Hey, man. We all got to start somewhere. As you can tell, I started with this movie when I was 3. So going over to Alan.
Maybe not that
Alan,
young.
Alan, the book, the miniseries, Chapter 1, Chapter 2. What's your excitement level for Chapter 2? Where's your headspace at about the whole series? Wrap it up for me in a nice neat bow.
Super excited about chapter 2. We'll be there, at the earliest show on the Thursday. I'm heading towards it. I think what I love about this series is the fact that it's just it takes something, not only something that's supposed to be invoke fun, and but it also takes the psychology of children, of kids, and something that we can connect with. You can connect with the crew of kids that you hung out with growing up. The people that were closest to you were your friends. It wasn't necessarily your family. And I think the way that this terror attacks that camaraderie and that love for these group of friends is what makes it universal and just really interesting, fascinating, and relatable. What would my crew do if we were faced against this evil entity? There's a number of different things you can theorize, but here you get to either read them, visualize them yourself, or now visualize it and see it in a different aspect. That is just amazing and incredible, man. And I think it's an age-old tale that will just be universal for years and years and years.
Man, some people would say that you're pretty good with your words there yourself. That was very poetic. I liked it. All right, going over to Hunter. Hunter, now I need you to be my Hunter and wrap this up with some plastic wrap, making sure not to cause any suspicion in the Bloody Manor. Just wrap up the book, the miniseries, Chapter 1, Chapter 2. Your excitement
Hunter
level,
did it.
everything like that.
I actually have one scene from Chapter 1 I want to bring up. It's one of my favorites, and it does tie in with everything. When Eddie has the cast, and that girl writes loser on it, and then at the end you see lover on it as they're all holding hands. That's what I love about it as a whole, is the Losers Club. They feel like a family. They feel like your best friends that you've had when you were a kid, and some of these, you see as your family. Some you don't, but some you have a connection with that's very strong. And that's what I love about it, is the Losers Club as a whole, because that's what's relatable to all of us.
Absolutely, well put, man. So my wrap up, because I'm gonna wrap up all of their bodies, too, so they can't leave the residence. Is I love this series. There's not much more that I can say it between Bill, Ben, Richie, Eddie, Mike, Bev, and Stan. Rest in peace. This was something that I always
Spoilers.
felt. Listen. 34-year-old book. So anybody that's got a problem with not knowing that Stan's dead, I'm sorry. If you didn't see the miniseries, that's your own fault too. But no, just come into Bloody Manor and I'll make sure that we just put you in a room and you never leave. And you can come debate me all day about horror movies. No, but this is why this has become a genre favorite of mine. The movie itself was something that was incredibly innovative for the genre. He took monster movies and made them escalated to make real life fears. It's a poetic book. It's a book about love. It's a book about finding yourself, adolescence, trauma. It's a mini series about being a group and surviving anything. And chapter 1 gave me the tone of the book. This overall is one of my favorite series of all time. That's why I wanted to make the first episode on the release date of the movie. So I'm really excited for that. Let's go ahead and go down and introduce again where everybody can find you. Besides here at the Bloody Manor being a staff member for life, or death, after death. I guess we're calling it after death. We're gonna
After
say that.
death.
After death. They have come into the Bloody Manor. And going to Matt first. Matt, where can the people find you on the internet? Because that's the only place that you will live outside of here.
Well, I'm glad that here in the Bloody Manor we have good Wi-Fi.
We
You
do.
can-
We have excellent. Listen,
The
there's
best
excellent
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi. It's the best Wi-Fi. You can find it anywhere. It's Wi-Fi.
no passwords.
No
no
passwords
password
either.
for
There's a password that you enter when you enter the house. It's your life. You
It's
give
your
your
life.
life. It's
Exactly.
literally you give your life. You sign a blood oath. It's all good.
But for real, you can find me on Facebook under Matt Graham. You can find me in the War Zone with my partner Aaron as the Goodfellas. You can find me in fandom as one of the Viking Raiders. You can find me on SoundCloud at DJ Carmageddon. And if you move into the Manor, we can talk about clowns.
We can talk about clowns and murder. How about them apples? Going over to
Clowns and
Alan.
murder.
Alan, where can the people find you? Because you are now, stuck here for life. That what other people see outside of here is not real. It's just a hologram of you.
Yeah,
It's just a
exactly,
hologram
actually.
of you.
Hologram. Perfect. Just find me, on the interwebs. You could find me, fighting off giant spiders at Facebook and Instagram. On the gram, if you want to follow me, it's at Hammerhead Allen because that was my old pirate name. Because that's a whole other episode. My whole pirate history.
We'll talk about pirate history sometime. There's pirate horror movies. We'll find them.
Exactly.
All right, and going over to Hunter. Hunter, again, thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you for doing that killer intro and making the killer logo for Bloody Manor.
No problem.
Again, you're stuck here for life. Well, for after death. You signed the blood oath.
Yep.
But where can the people find you on the internet?
You guys can find me at my two YouTube channels at Film Nerd TV and at Combat Wrestling Network, where I host combat wrestling trivia, and also I have a horror podcast called Horoscope Podcast. Myself and Russell Howell talk everything horror movies. Last week's episode was Us with Janine Machine, and then before that we had Halloween with Ben Bateman. So check out those.
Well, I would gladly accept them into the Blood Manor if they ever wanted to show their face. But my name is Doug Castle. I have been your host. I have been your butler cleaning up your murders. You can find me pretty much anywhere that there's fan trivia going on or fan debates going on. But also find me over here on Take 3. And also, guys, you survived this episode of Blood Manor. We'll see if you're lucky next time.